Good afternoon, students. So, we'll continue with chapter 9. Women, caste, and reform. So, in our previous class, we discussed about who could enter temple. So, in that, we discussed that how B.R. Ambedkar led the movement of temple entry. Temple entry movement was led by B.R. Ambedkar because he was from Mahar family and he himself was from a group which was considered as untouchable. So he was knowing all the discrimination which was there in the society as per the caste. So he was aware about those things, and still there were many discriminations which he has gone through in his life. Still he studied hard, he got the scholarship, and he went to US for higher education, and he came back to India, and after that he led movements so that so that he can actually uproot the prejudice which is there in the society, right? So this was done by the B.R. Ambedkar. Today we will discuss about non-Brahman movement. So now what happened with the time, and we can go through the example of B.R. Ambedkar also, we can take the example of him. Um, what happened, non-Brahmin caste people acquired access to education, wealth, and influence. Now what happened earlier, what was the situation? If we talk about the text, Brahminical text, so those were in Sanskrit. Now, Sanskrit was considered as the elite class language. That means only the upper caste people or Brahmins, they only used to know Sanskrit. The common people were not knowing this language. All the Brahminical texts were in Sanskrit. So these texts, if you see, these Brahmins, whatever was there, they have what you say, they actually told people that these are the things which is mentioned, that like caste system is mentioned in the text. Okay, in our text caste system is mentioned. Now the text is in Sanskrit. That is not the language of common people. Now no, common people cannot read that, they don't know what is written. So whatever was told by the Brahmins, by the upper caste, the people used to follow that. That was the situation. Now what happened, slowly and gradually non-Brahmin caste people, they acquired access to education. Now they were getting education. When they were getting education, they were learning the language. Now they were able to read those things, which was the basic of this discrimination. They were able to read and they were able to understand the things themselves. Also, when they got educated, they got good jobs. With good jobs, they got wealth. And when there is wealth, the people have knowledge, the people have education, obviously the influence will be there. They can actually keep their opinion strongly, they can influence the people. So like this thing happened in the society. So non-Brahmin caste people, they acquired access to education. With education they got good opportunity of job. With job they got wealth. With wealth and knowledge they got the influence in the society. Now they were able to keep their opinions strongly, and they were if now if you don't know anything how to read and write, and there is something written, and someone comes and they tell you that this is the thing written, you will obviously, if they yourself don't know how to read and write, obviously you will listen to that person. But if he tells you wrong, then also you will have to understand, trust him. Then also you have to follow him. In that case, what happens? You cannot keep your opinion strongly because you don't have knowledge. Someone has told you that thing. Whether he is correct, whether it is incorrect, you don't know. You are just blindly following that. But when you are able to read and write, you can properly read what is written in that thing, in the paper, and you can keep yourself strongly. Right? So the same thing happened here. Understood? Now if you see, Bhimrao Ambedkar belonged to Mahar family. He saw many discriminations in his childhood, but what he did, he has drafted the constitution. Right? He is known as the father of constitution. So such a big achievement he has made in his life, having all of the discriminations. So with education, power comes, wealth comes, and after that, people are able to strongly represent, express, and keep their opinion, and like that, they can influence. Okay. Now, if you see, if you read this sentence, they argued that Brahmins were heirs of Aryan invaders from the north who had conquered south lands from the original inhabitants of the region. Now, who were the original inhabitants? So, the original inhabitants were the indigenous Dravidians. The indigenous Dravidians, they were actually the inhabitants. That means the land actually belonged to Dravidian inhabitants. Okay, and these Brahmins are not from India. Actually, these Brahmins are the heirs of Aryans, and Aryans are not the actual landowners here. They belong to North. These Aryans belong to North. They came to India and they captured the land of India. So, as per these non-Brahmin caste people, these Brahmins are not the actual inhabitant of India. They are outsiders. They came from north, they captured the land of south, which is India. Okay. So, if you see, one more person claimed the same thing. Can anyone tell me who is that person? Claimed the same statement that Brahmins are not inhabitant of India. They are actually outsiders. They came from outside and they captured the Indian land and they made the people inferior. They considered the people of India inferior and they made them low caste people. So one more person just claimed the same thing. Okay, Saksham has given the correct answer. Jyoti Rao Phule. Yesterday only we talked about Jyoti Rao Phule. So Jyoti Rao Phule also claimed the same thing, that Brahmins are not Indians. Brahmins are actually the outsiders. They are Aryans who came to India and they conquered the land of the Indians. They actually captured the land of the Indians. Okay. Till now, anyone, any question? Anyone, any question? So we have actually discussed already that Jyotirao Phule was having the same concept. Now this same concept was given by one more reformer. Now who is that reformer? So that this statement, this concept is actually given by a reformer. I hope you all are making your notes, not sitting idle. So the leader who was having the same opinion as Jyotirao Phule is E. V. Ramaswamy. So E. V. Ramaswamy Naikar is the person, is the reformer who was having the same concept which Jyotirao Phule was having. Now, E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar is also called Periyar. He is also called Periyar. Okay. Now, what is the meaning of Periyar? Why was he called Periyar? So, Periyar just means pure soul or respected one. So Periyar means pure soul or respected one. So this E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar was called Periyar. That means a good soul, pure soul, and respected one. Understood? Okay. Now we will discuss about E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar. Okay. So he had an ascetic in his early life. Now he had an ascetic in his early life and he studied Sanskrit scriptures. That means at that time the main thing was the Brahminical text and the religious text. Our religious text was also in Sanskrit. And now this Sanskrit was not the language of common people. It was that means very high class people like Brahmins, upper caste people. They were only knowing this Sanskrit. So common people were not knowing this, and because of that, they were not having the proper knowledge, right? And they were not able to keep themselves strongly. Whatever was told, it was told by Brahmins that you people are lower caste, you are untouchable. It is written in the script that we cannot touch you. If we will touch you, if you will enter the temple, there will be disaster, the people will die, everything will be destroyed. Like that, they used to bring fear in this society. And like this, if without in lack of proper knowledge, those people were blindly believing the Brahmins, and they were following whatever they were telling. So like this discrimination was done. Now when the non-Brahmin people got access to education, now they were able to educate learn, they were able to go for education. So like this, what happened, they got the knowledge. Now they were able to read and write. So here EV Ramaswamy, what he did, he actually studied the Sanskrit scriptures, that what is written in that. Okay. Also he became a member of Congress. But here one incident happened. There was a feast, where he went. So in a feast, what happened? The feast was organized by nationalists, and there what happened? The sitting arrangement. So what happened? There was a feast, and there E.V. Ramaswamy went. And what happened? The seating arrangement was made in such a way that it was reflecting the caste discrimination. That means the people who are non-Brahmin, who they were not allowed to sit with the Brahmin people. So they were having the different place to sit. So it was basically showing the caste discrimination. So because of that, he was very hurt, and he left the Congress. Okay. Now he argued that untouchables were the true upholders of an original Tamil and Dravidian culture, which had been subjugated by Brahmins. So what he told that actually It is untouchables who has kept the original Tamil and Dravidian culture. Understood? It is the contribution of untouchables. Like what happened, if you see in India, the South culture has not much changed. It is still there. But if you talk about North, so when you talk about North, there was a lot of intermingling from all the sides. So from all the sides in North, there was a lot of intermingling by the traders and all, the people visited to India. So as we have already discussed that in other chapter, that when there is traveling going on, when there is movement happening, there will be intermingling, and with intermingling there will be change in the culture and tradition. The same thing happened in the North. But when we talk about South, South is still having its own culture and tradition. It has preserved its own culture and tradition. But when we talk about North, a lot of intermingling we can find. Understood? So, as per E.V. Ramaswamy, this is because of the untouchables. They have only preserved, they have only kept this original Tamil and Dravidian cultures. Okay. So still you can see in South the native culture prevail. Also he convinced that untouchables had to fight for their dignity. So he convinced the untouchables that you have to fight for your dignity. Otherwise, these Brahmins are going to keep the power in their hand, and they are not going to give any kind of privilege to you. So for that, he convinced the untouchables so that they can fight for their dignity, and for that he has led the self-respect movement. So there was a self-respect movement which was led by E.V. Ramaswamy Naikar. Understood? Also, what he did, he was the outspoken critics of Hindu scriptures. Okay, whatever Hindu texts were there, whatever Hindu scriptures were there, like you have codes of Manu. You have codes of Manu, which is Manu script. Sorry, Manu Smriti. These are all the religious texts which we have and which we follow, right? Then we have Bhagavad Gita. Sorry. Bhagavad Gita. Then you have Ramayana. So he actually criticized these Indian scriptures. As per Periyar, these Hindu scriptures, these Hindu texts are the basic root of the discrimination among the society. These religious texts are actually spreading this discrimination. So this was the thinking of Periyar. So he criticized this text. He openly criticized this text. If we talk about Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana, basically we see all the Hindu families having this at home. But that time E.V. Ramaswamy criticized all these Hindu scriptures. He told that these are the texts which are spreading the discrimination, inequality in the society. Understood? Also, what he told that not only it is the caste inequality, in fact it is spreading the gender inequality. So what he said that these texts had been used to establish the authority of Brahmins over lower caste and the domination of men over women. So, as per E.V. Ramaswamy, these texts were responsible for the caste discrimination and the discrimination in gender, that means men over women. Understood? What was the impact of this? He has criticized a big thing. Now, Ramayana and if you see Ramayana and Bhagavad Gita manuscript, these were all the religious texts, and people were following this. Now, this was not remained unchallenged. The way he criticized this thing, he has to go through the people the people were there who opposed this thing. So he had went through many opposition. So on this, there was reaction of orthodox. Orthodox are basically orthodox is basically the people having conservative thinking. They don't want to change. They don't like changes. They are against change. So those are orthodox. So orthodox Hindu society's reaction came on this. He actually, what he did, he directly criticized their religious text, that this is wrong thing which you people are following. Your religious text is wrong. This is spreading discrimination, caste discrimination, gender discrimination. So this is what he criticized. Now the people were not going to keep quiet and listen. They reacted. The orthodox reacted. So the orthodox Hindu society reacted, and what they did, they founded many different organizations against this. Okay, so they founded Sanatan Dharma Sabha. Sanatan Dharma Sabha, the Bharat Dharma Mahamandal, which was in Haridwar. Now, Brahman Sabha, which was in Bengal. So, when he criticized their religious text, what he did, he when Ramaswamy criticized the Hindu text, the Hindu Orthodox Society, they founded many different organizations. Okay, so in that they formed Sanatan Dharma Sabha. This was the organization. The Brahman Dharma Sabha, Brahman Dharma Mahamandal, which was in Haridwar. Then Brahman Sabha in Bengal. Understood? So these people, this organization was working for the Hindu religious text. Okay. Now the next thing is objectives. What was the objective of this non-Brahman movement? So when we talk about objectives, the objective was to uphold caste discrimination as a cornerstone of Hinduism and show how this was sanctified at time lead to rethinking and some self criticism among per caste. So what happened? What was the objective of these organizations? Why these organizations were founded? So basically the objective was to uphold caste discrimination as a cornerstone of Hinduism and show how this was sanctified by scriptures. Understood? That means what these people were telling that if it is written in our text, it is not written anyways. No, there is some meaning. That is why it is written in the text. So how it is sanctioned? Understood? So it is sanctioned. It is there in the text. That means it is having some meaning. That is what these orthodox wanted to prove. Understood? But what happened? There was fight going on in the society. This Ramaswamy, he was criticizing the Hindu text that this is wrong. The things which is given is spreading discrimination. Hindu Orthodox were telling, they were founding organizations and they were telling that yes, if our religious text is having these things, that means there is something that is meaningful to us. So two thoughts were going on, two things were going on, and both were creating a conflict. But what happened? This because of this, what happened? The leaders, Hindu leaders, actually they were rethinking. Suppose what happened, there is a wrong thing going on. You are doing something wrong. Okay, you did something wrong, and you know that you have done this thing, whatever is going on is wrong, but still you are doing that thing. But if someday someone tell on your face that this is a wrong thing, right? So basically you will fight, no, it is correct, I have done the correct thing, but still there will be a guilt feeling in you. After some time you will feel guilty sometime. This incident at least will force you to rethink. The same thing happened here. The people were doing the wrong thing. Upper caste people, they did not realize by now, but when the non-Brahmin people started raising their voice, and what happened? The Orthodox, Hindu Orthodox, they opposed them. But the nationalists, upper caste nationalists who were there, they actually were rethinking that yes, is it correct? What is happening is wrong or right? So there was question in their mind. Understood? So we'll end our session here only. If you have any question, please go through the whole class, whole topic, and if you find any question, we'll clear it tomorrow. Okay? Thank you everyone for today.